People are gonna get really annoyed with me for making this video, or I assume. But there's something I noticed, and I have to say something about it because it is something that affects me and a lot of people like me and people with other disabilities, and it's something that kind of sucks. So in movie theaters, there's typically two types of accessible seating options. There's wheelchair accessible spaces, and then usually next to those spaces, there's a spot for someone who's accompanying someone in a wheelchair or for someone who has a disability that requires them to need this type of seat. It's typically a regular seat, but it's in a space where it's easier to get up and leave the theater if you need to. It's typically not like walled in. It is an accessible space. And now I don't want to make any, assumptions here. I don't want to say that I know 100% for certain that all the people who purchased these seats across hundreds of movie theaters that I've checked today across all of New York City, that they didn't need them, because they may have needed them. And if you fit into that category and you needed a seat like this and you got one, then that is amazing for you, and this video is not about you. It is highly suspect when you look at the sales of tickets so far for opening night of the Eras Tour movie, and you see that every single one of these accompanying spaces have been taken. Now that could mean that a bunch of people with disabilities are, going to see this film, and that is amazing. Or it could mean the more likely scenario that a good amount of people who are purchasing these seats don't actually need them and are just buying them because they're available. I have autism, and I sit in one of these seats if it's an option for me every single time I go to a theater. And I started doing this after I had a really scary meltdown in a movie theater, and I was sitting in a regular seat, kind of in the middle of an aisle, and it made it really, really uncomfortable and a million times worse for me to find the courage to get up and remove myself from the situation that was causing me to have a sensory meltdown. And that was a really scary thing for me to do in the first place, to take this option that's available to me, because I am one of those people where people look at me and they probably assume that I'm the asshole who's just buying the seat because it's available, because when you look at me, you can't really tell that there's anything wrong with me. And that's why it's so easy to get away with doing this, because nobody's going to come up to you and ask you, do you need this seat? Because we all know that a lot of disabilities are invisible. But if you are one of the people doing this, just keep in mind that you are preventing people who need these spaces from probably going to the film at all. Because regardless of if any of these other seats are available, I personally wouldn't be able to sit in one of them. Not for a movie like this, where I know it's going to be a really intense sensory experience. And usually I don't come on here so serious and so blah, blah, but I just had to say it, and I don't mean any disrespect to the people who needed these seats and got them. I'm just one of the people who also needs one, and I'm pretty sure I wasn't able to get one because a good amount of people got them that don't need them. So it kind of sucks, and just don't do that.